Hello, everybody, and welcome here up at BSN Network. Today is Monday, May 16th. Hope everybody's having a day so far and a good rest of their day yesterday. It is, in fact, Monday, May 16th here today, coming off of a very exciting and fun and very successful sports night last night with the New York Rangers winning a thrilling series to begin with, but specifically a thrilling Game 7 last night, 4-3. Artemi Panarin, 4 minutes into overtime, gets the goal, and the Rangers are moving on as they win Game 7 at the Garden. That place was going nuts. That place was just going in crazy. I mean, any word to describe crazy, great, loud. Loud's an understatement. The roof of that place was about to blow up. And, just a great win for the Rangers. Did not start the way we wanted it, or started the way we wanted it to, but we obviously got off to an early start, 2-0, and then things started to kind of not go quite our way. And then we started to get a little bit better, and then it was 3-2 going into the third period. Then it was 3-3. Then you have another overtime, and I'm thinking to myself, I sat there and I was thinking to myself, like, overtime, this is not good for my blood pressure. This is not good for my health because, I was very nervous. Obviously, you want them to win. Game 6 on Friday was as nerve-wracking as they get, hoping they come back. They did. And in Game 7's even more nerve-wracking because no matter what, this is it. Win or lose. You win, you move on, you lose, you're out. And the Rangers have been doing that for the past 3 games, but there's something about Game 7 that's different. We can all agree on that. So, a great win for the Rangers. They move on. They will now battle against the Carolina Hurricanes in the second round of the NHL playoffs. We don't have home ice for that one, so we're going to start on the road both those games. We'll kind of preview that a little bit as well. We're going to get to some Yankee stuff as well. They got the win yesterday, got the series win, took 3 out of 4 against the White Sox, so a very good series for the Yankees. 8th series win in a row, and the Yankees right now are on fire as they are 25-9 now, and they await a 4-game set at Camden Yards against the Orioles, in which you got to feel good about because it's the Orioles, and I don't want to be mean, but the Orioles are bad. They're a bad team. You should be beating the Orioles. So you think to yourself, this should be a 4-game sweep. You sweep the Orioles. You're looking at yourself, and I don't want to get too far ahead, but you're looking at a 29-9 start to the season. You're looking at some of the best starts, not just in Yankees history all of a sudden, but in baseball history. And they're already in those categories already with another win yesterday. Mets got the loss yesterday. A little bit of a rocky stretch now for the Mets. Lose 2 out of 3. Offense, pitching, a little choppy. Offense was a little choppy Friday night, only scored 1 run. You're going to have these stretches. You're going to have these type of games. We'll see how the Mets can bounce back. They play the Cardinals, who absolutely demolished the Giants last night. It got so bad that Albert Pujols took the mound for the St. Louis Cardinals. So they'll begin a 4-game set tonight as well at Citi Field as the Mets look to bounce back from a tough series loss against the Seattle Mariners. All right, so let's get to the topics for today's podcast. We got 2 on tap. It is a Monday. I'm able to do a pod, so that's good. We're going to get into 2 topics today. We're going to start off with the Rangers and Penguins series recap. I'm going to kind of give you the series recap, really go in depth, obviously, with last night's thrilling victory and the Panarin goal and all that good stuff. And then we'll kind of get you ready for the Carolina Hurricane series and get you ready for what should be a very competitive, what should be a very physical series. The Hurricanes are one of the best teams in hockey. They're one of the Stanley Cup favorites. They were the 1 seed come out of the Metro for a reason. Rangers are going to have their hands full. It's going to be a tough matchup, and the Rangers need to come out and play very hard, be good 5-on-5, need to have a good forecheck, and you're on the road too, so you need to make sure you get those road wins so then you can take it back to the Garden. That's big for the Rangers, so we'll get into all that good stuff. Then we're going to get into nasty Nestor Cortes. I was watching the game yesterday, obviously, did the scorebook, and just yet again, I find myself having to talk about the Yankees and their dominance, specifically Nestor Cortes, because what he did yesterday was about as good as a performance as you can get. He followed up an almost no-hitter. So a wild game yesterday for the Yankees in terms of just how things went. The Yankees had 5 runs on 2 hits. And it's just crazy. 5 runs on 2 hits. Very rare does that happen. So we'll get into the game, talk about it, and specifically Nasty Nestor. And he's legitimately a Cy Young candidate, and there's no longer debate about it. Then we'll get to the New York sports update, finish things off. Like I said, Yankees-Mets today. Yankees open up a 4-game set at Camden Yards against the Orioles, and the Mets open up a 4-game set at Citi Field against the Cardinals. And the Rangers have a day off today. Tomorrow, they'll be back in action Wednesday for Game 1 in Carolina against the Hurricanes. So looking forward to that series as well. All right, so with all that being said, this is the BSN podcast, and let's get right into it. So last night was, to say stressful, fun, to say that was be an understatement. Last night was awesome. I mean, it was awesome. A great win for the New York Rangers, 4-3. An all-around team effort from Mika to, Panarin to Kreider getting the scoring started, to Igor Shesterkin making 42 saves and making massive saves as well. I mean, there was a couple of them sprinkled in through those 42 that are some excellent saves by Igor that not many goaltenders in hockey can make. And last night, the Rangers, yet again, the amount of times we look at this team and watch this team, they fall down early, and they just continue to come back. They continue to fight and claw and battle back. And last night they completed a 3-1 series comeback, and they've completed the series win against the Pittsburgh Penguins after falling down 3-1. And last night was another comeback win. Was down 3-2 going into the bottom of the third. 3-2 going into the third period. Obviously, I'm sitting there thinking to myself, this has to be your This has to be your best 20 minutes of hockey. It was a little bit of a slow start in the third period. Rangers were getting a lot of shots on, not great quality shots, but they're getting chances. They finally put the puck in the back of the net. Mika with a huge goal. The game goes into overtime. Rangers then score in overtime and get the win 4-3. And, I talk about a lot of times on this podcast the whole motto of no quit in New York. That's kind of the Rangers slogan. That's kind of been their slogan all year long. And last night, again, they come through. And last night, again, they make a comeback. And it's just the type of team that this team is. They battle, they fight, they claw. They're going to do everything they can to win hockey games. And that was on full display last night because you obviously start off great with a 1-0 lead. Nice shot by Kreider, gets the lead. And I love the way the Rangers early on got shots on Tristan Jarry because, like I said, he's a rusty goaltender in terms of he's missed a whole month. He has not played yet in the playoffs. Throwing a guy in a game is one thing. Throwing him into a Game 7 is another thing. Throwing him into a Game 7 on the road at Madison Square Garden is a whole new challenge. And Jarry was all right. He wasn't terrible. I mean, it's not like he allowed 6 goals. He had his moments. There was definitely some rustiness. I mean, the shot by Panarin was a great shot. It went, it megged him. It went through the 5-hole. As a goalie, you got to make that save. That could just be timing. That could be slightly rustiness. That could just be the fact that this is his first game in over a month. And of course, when you also your goal, you're trying to get your endurance and all that back up. Game goes into overtime. But back to the point of that first period, the Rangers started the game good, I thought, in terms of getting shots. Now, were they high-quality shots? No. But they were shots at least. And against a goaltender that hasn't played in a month, against a goaltender that needs surgery, against a goalie or had a fractured foot or whatever it was, against the guy who is his first game of the series in Game 7 on the road, I like the fact that they pressured him early. It wasn't the best pressure. It wasn't at all. I mean, it wasn't the best pressure by any means. There was a couple far shots from the point, but they were still shots. They were still making him use his glove hand. They were still making him take, shots early on. And Kreider puts one in the back of the net, and that gets the scoring started, and that was big. Penguins then answer late in the first period, tough penalty. They end up scoring on the power play. And the Rangers had some dumb mistakes too. I mean, they had some dumb things. I mean, you obviously have the whole high sticking stuff. You had the puck go out of play by Kakko, a rare mistake from him. He's been very good this series. The whole kid line in general, although Hedl had the bad turnover that resulted in a goal. But then you go into 1-1, and in the second period, it's 2-1. A goal by Gensel, another power play goal. So another tough penalty they take, and it's another power play goal. Then it's 2-1. Rangers then bounce back about a minute, 5 seconds later. Keandre Miller shoots, and this is what I mean by shoot the puck. He shoots the puck, it goes off a Penguins player's skate and goes in. That's what happens when you put the puck on net. Sometimes these guys try to be too fancy, and they try to pass too much, and they try to do all this different stuff. You just shoot the puck, and you got 4 guys in front of the net. Something good's gonna happen eventually. Not every time, but sometimes you're gonna get that lucky bounce. Keandre Miller got that yesterday. If that shot doesn't go off that guy's skate, that's probably a shot wide off the boards. Rangers got to reset. Goes off the guy's skate, and boom, into the goal. Jari lost sight of it, went off his skate, boom, right past his blocker, or right past his leg in it. That's going to, and you score. It all counts as the same thing. You score. Then it's 2-2. Then late in the second period, this was a tough one. Rodriguez then scores, shorthanded goal, which with about a second left in the power play, it was a tough one. Rangers had a power play. It was about a second left. Just not a good power play. Wasn't getting many opportunities. Ended up scoring. So 3-2. You go into the third period now, down 3-2. And you're thinking to yourself, this has got to be the best 20 minutes of hockey. And as a fan, you're sitting there. And you're thinking to yourself, you could feel the nervous energy in the crowd. You could tell the players were definitely, I don't want to say tired, but you could tell they were trying to do everything they could. And some of it just, they were just getting... they were trying to do everything they could, but there was also points in that game where it just seemed like they were just struggling a little bit. And you could see that in the second period. Like, they had to really come out in the third period and exert a lot of energy. And that's going to happen in Game 7s. That's why they're so great, because it's really David and Goliath. It's really whatever team is just got that little extra drive. It's that team that's got that little extra energy boost late in games. They end up scoring 14 minutes into the third period. I mean, this third period went 14 minutes without a goal. We're near the 6-minute mark, and the Rangers have yet to score. Mika Zibanejad, who has had 3 great shots in this series, and you can make the argument that if Mika Zibanejad's Game 6 never happened, Rangers lose. And if that shot he has last night doesn't happen, Rangers lose too. So Mika Zibanejad, the first 5 games he was quiet, not doing anything. And you heard all the people about, he's got to get going. Game 6, he has a great game. What was it, a hat trick? I think 2 of them were very good shots. The one was a deflection. But he has a great game, Game 6. And last night, I mean, there was one place to put that shot by Zibanejad, and he lasered it right in there. Top corner, top corner, top shelf, whatever you want to call it, goes right in. There was one spot to put that. Mika put it right in that spot, and he put some effort behind that shot. Went right in. Not many goaltenders, no matter how good you are, can stop that shot. When it's that fast, that close, and that on point, it was a great shot by Mika. Then that ties the game. You obviously go into overtime. Rest is history. And look, this is the third Game 7 win that the Rangers have had, overtime. Or third Game 7 win, obviously, for the Rangers here in overtime at the Garden. So, it was funny. You see the pictures. It was obviously the one, Rangers, Devils, Eastern Conference Finals back in 94, the year when they won the Cup. That one, there was a picture of that, and then it had the one against the Canadians, I believe, was that 2014? Was it Derek Stepan, I think, who scored that goal? I forget which year exactly, 2016. It was that stretch of where the Rangers had really good teams. Obviously got to the Stanley Cup against the Kings, never won it, but that was that stretch of teams where the Rangers had that were really good. Won it, and then last night there was a picture of Panarin, and it was a great shot, similar to Mika's shot. There was one place to put it. He went 5-hole. It was quick. It was a wrister. And one thing about that shot too was it was almost like the Penguins' D was kind of just with a standstill. Like Panarin had a lane, Panarin had an opening, and it was almost like Pittsburgh was anticipating him to pass it, because he's been doing that a lot. And he didn't. He took a shot. And look, that's what happens. And I was so excited because I'm like, that's what happens when you shoot the puck. You pass and you do all this other stuff. That's not going to help you score. When you shoot, you get an open lane, and he took advantage of it. I mean, the Penguins gave him a gap. They gave him a gap into the goal, and it was a nice screen, too, by Kreider. It was an earlier screen. The screen kind of broke off late, but still a great shot by Panarin. Crowd goes crazy. Garden goes nuts. I go crazy. And the Rangers get the win. It was an excellent game. And like I said, Igor was phenomenal. For a guy who struggled in games 3 and 4, first time on the road, was better in game 5, better in game 6, and last night was like the Igor Shesterkin we saw all year. And that's most likely the Vezina Trophy winner. I think he should be. And that's the Hart candidate. I think he's going to win the Vezina. I think the Hart probably will either go to McDavid or Matthews. I just don't see him winning both. That just seems to how it's going to roll. But still, bottom line was a great game by Igor as well. And he made a couple huge saves in that game. And the offense did their job. They cleaned up the turnovers. They cleaned up the penalties late. They made the plays they needed to make late in the game. And that's what the Rangers have been doing all year. And they did it again last night. And that's just the fight. That's the grittiness. That's the toughness in this team. And it's great to see. So just looking at some of the other stats here with the Rangers. Obviously, Panarin had the goal. Panarin had a goal. Kreider had a goal. And Mika had a goal. And Keandre Miller also had the goal. So those are your 4 goals. Shesterkin was awesome. I mean, Shesterkin was great. Made 8 shorthanded saves last night. By the way, I got to give credit to, Chris Drury went out the deadline and made a lot of moves. And he made them, obviously, he made the right moves. I mean, last night, Tyler Mott was great. He was great. I mean, he was awesome. And for a guy who missed the majority of this series, his presence has been great. A physical guy, tightens up that bottom line, and just a really, really good piece for us. And Andrew Kopp as well. Another physical guy that adds that much-needed little grit to this team. And Vetrano's been great. There's 3 guys on this roster that the Rangers went out and got at the deadline. Frankie V, Mott, and Kopp. You can make the argument that if none of them were here, Rangers are not moving on. Just their physicalness, there's just the physicality, the passes that they've been making, just the hustle plays, whatever it is, it's the little things. It's the little things that aren't going to show up in the stat sheet that they've been doing. I mean, look, like I said, Kopp had 2 assists last night. Didn't have a goal. Vetrano didn't have a goal or assist. Mott didn't do anything. But in terms of goal and assist. But in terms of the physicalness, in terms of the, clearing a puck, the forecheck, those forcing turnovers, those are the things that aren't going to always get in to the stat sheet. But when you watch the games, those are the guys that make a big impact. And they made that impact again last night. So couldn't be happier, because this is a team that continues to fight and claw and battle. And they did it again last night. And now we got a date with the Carolina Hurricanes. Starting on Wednesday, 7 p.m. Eastern on ESPN. Hurricanes are the favorites in this series. But look, like I said, the Rangers come back from down 3-1. They don't have home ice. So I can't stress this enough. It's going to be harder to fall down in this series and come back. Hurricanes are a much better team. They finished first in the Metro. Rangers and the Carolina had a lot of battles this season. Rangers late in the season actually went on the road in Carolina and shut them out with Georgiev in net. One thing that Carolina is going to throw at you is the Rangers need to be good 5-on-5. Need to have a good forecheck. You can't be spending too much time in your own zone. You need to shoot the puck. You're going to need to get pucks on net. You're going to need to get pressure, because the Carolina Hurricanes just force a ton of pressure, and they score a lot of goals. They play very quick. They're one of the best 5-on-5 teams in hockey. They don't take many penalties. They're a disciplined team. They're just an all-around. When you look at a good hockey team, from goaltending to defense to offense, they're all-around well-rounded. So the Rangers need to make sure you can't, those penalties either, because the Carolina Hurricanes power play will hurt you. So they got to be disciplined. They got to be physical. They got to be quick. They got to shoot. They got to get pucks on net. And they got to have a good forecheck. Got to have a good forecheck. Because if you don't have a good forecheck, it's going to be tough. Because Carolina will stay in your zone all day. So, those are the big things there. And you're on the road for the first 2. It's the same thing. First 2 on the road. Next 2 at the Garden. Game 5 would be at Carolina. Game 6 would be at the Garden. Obviously, if needed, Game 7. Let's take it game by game. I just went through Game 7 last night. It was great. It was awesome. But for health reasons, let's maybe make this series a 4-game sweep. That'd be nice. But yeah, I mean, I'll preview this. I'll try to get a podcast done before this. My next 2 days are pretty busy. I'll try to get one done. That's why I also wanted to do a little bit of a preview now. But you look at this series for the Rangers and the Hurricanes. This is a series for the Rangers. You say this with a lot of road teams. If you can at least come out of Carolina, split the series, and go back to the Garden, you would feel great about it. That's the big thing with the Rangers. So, if you could take 2 in Carolina, that'd be awesome. You could split it, that'd be fine going back to the Garden. So that's big. But it's going to be a fun series. It's going to be a good series, too. These 2 teams played a lot. They fought, they battled. In the end of it, Carolina came out, had 6 more points than the Rangers, and won the Metro. But, Carolina is fast. They're tough. They're just an all-around good team. And 6 former Rangers are on that team, too. So it's going to be fun. And a little Adam Fox, Tony DeAngelo is going to be a fun matchup there. Sebastian Aho, we all know, is their big guy. It looks like the Carolina Hurricanes are going to roll with Freddie Anderson in goal, which is interesting given the fact that Antti Raanta has just been like their surprise great player. He obviously he was the backup with Hank for a couple years ago. The Rangers had him before they traded him. He was the backup with Hank. And he had some moments, Antti Raanta. I remember him when he was with the Rangers, but it looks like they're going to probably roll Freddie Anderson, which is interesting because Antti Raanta has been pretty good when the games he's played. So it'd be interesting there. But a big series coming up. It was a great win last night. So excited. Like, this team is just so much fun to watch. They're just young, they're fast, they're entertaining, they come back, they're just excited. There's so much likable pieces about this team. You gotta love it. It was a great win. It was fun. It was awesome. It was everything you want a Game 7 to be. Thrilling, fun, exciting, all that great stuff. And as we all know, they came through with a win, and that's the biggest thing you want to happen in a Game 7 is a win. Now on to Carolina. And should be an interesting series there. That starts Wednesday night, so a much-needed 2 days off. And now you reset, right? Kind of that 24-hour rule. Last night was the celebration. Today you feel good about it, but now it's time to move on. Get ready for Carolina, which should be another good challenge for the Rangers. And hopefully we come through big in that series as well. We shall see. Should be a good series. All right, so coming up next, we're going to get into Nestor Cortes and his success this season, specifically using the word dominance. Yesterday, Yankees get the win 5-1. Had me feeling good. I then watched the Rangers game, felt even better. And today we're going to talk about Nestor Cortes and his dominance and why, if he keeps this up, he is no doubt your Cy Young for the 2022 MLB season. We'll get to that and much more coming up next. All right, so we welcome you back here about the podcast today. Obviously, a great win last night for the Rangers, as I've said many times. Going to keep saying it because it was awesome. Even hearing Sam Rosen on the call, even him on the call was just, it was great. It was great. He was like, Panarin shoots, scores, Rangers win. It was just so much. It was awesome. The energy, the electricity in that building. Like I said, the roof. If you were walking in downtown New York and you walked past Madison Square Garden, you could probably hear it. The roof of that building had to have blown off. They're out there building a new roof right now. That's how loud that place was. Anyway, though, let's shift our focus here and get into the New York Yankees. As I mentioned, I watched the Yankees game yesterday, did the scorebook, all that good stuff. Got me, I was feeling good about it. Great series win. Took 3 out of 4 against Chicago, who has not been the same team that many people expected them to be, but they were very hot going into that series. Chicago going into this series was playing their best baseball of the season. Yankees slow them down, get the win yesterday 5-1. It was an interesting game. It was quick. It lasted 2 hours and 32 minutes. One of the quickest baseball games I've ever seen. And that's what happens when Nestor Cortes pitches. He's quick, he works fast, but both teams, even Michael Kopech, outside of that first inning, he was retiring Yankees left and right. Gallo obviously had the big home run in the top of the ninth to kind of add some more insurance on there. But up until the ninth inning, Yankees had a 1 hit, but they did just enough. And when you have Nasty Nestor on the mound, you don't need to score 10, 15 runs. Sometimes all you need is 2 runs, and that's all that would have had to. That's all that the Yankees needed yesterday. 2 runs. They got 5, but all they would have needed was 2 because Nasty Nestor shut down the Chicago White Sox, throwing 8 innings, 3 hits, allowing 1 run. The only run coming in the bottom of the 8th, in which he allowed the home run by Adam Engel. But even that, that was kind of just late in the game, kind of a home run, and it didn't matter anyway because the Yankees ended up adding 2 more in the 5th, striking out 7, getting the win, moving to 2-1 on the season. And his ERA now is second in baseball with a 1.35 ERA. His whip is .85. That's 4th in the league. And he's tied for 12th in the league with 49 strikeouts. And yet again yesterday, we see Nasty Nestor just out there doing his thing. He's not throwing gas. He's throwing junk. He throws 92 miles an hour, locates the fastball well. And yesterday, as a Yankee fan, it was just another game where it's just fun to watch. And you sit back, and I'm doing the scorebook, and I'm just like, this guy, seriously now, at 27 years old for, what was he, a 36th round draft pick. In 2020 was with Seattle, played 5 games, had an ERA of 15.26. ERA of 15.26. Let that sit in. Yankees optioned him back in 2019 because he had an ERA of 5.67. Let me take you through his ERA. 2018, 7.71. 2019, 5.67. 2020, 15.26. And all of a sudden last year, a 2.90 ERA, and this season, his ERA is all the way down to 1.35. Nasty Nestor, if he keeps this up, it's no longer a joke. This is real. We are watching something special here, folks. We are watching a guy who was a 36th round draft pick, no name, that the Yankees got rid of, went to Seattle during the COVID year, barely pitched, got injured, had an ERA above 15, is now one of the more dominant pitchers in baseball. And if he keeps this up, he's your 2022 Cy Young. And I know it's May. I get that. But I'm allowed to have my fun. I'm allowed to make these predictions. If he keeps this up, I know it's May 16th, and he's pitched 7 games this season. He'll probably get to about 30. 32-ish is usually around the number most pitchers throw. So he'll get around there. I understand he's only 7 games in. But if the season went to end today, Nasty Nestor's your 2022 Cy Young. Over the likes of Scherzer and Garrett Cole. And don't get me wrong, those guys are having good seasons, and Cole's been much better. After his rocky start the first 2 games, he's been the pitcher we all expected him to be. Pitching to a ERA of 2.90, shutting down the White Sox on Friday. He's done everything he needed to do. But what Nasty Nestor is doing is just, it's just phenomenal. It's great. It's just fun to watch. It's exciting. It's everything you like. Everything you want to see out of a pitcher, Nasty Nestor delivers. And one thing that I like most is nowadays everyone talks about velocity and how hard people throw. That's even with me. And I'm obviously not playing in major leagues. I play, baseball, but I'm not in the major leagues, as you all know. It's clear if I was in the major leagues, I wouldn't be doing a podcast. I'd be on the road right now playing for some team. You all know that. But, even for me when I play baseball, I'm not the hardest thrower ever. I'm not. I throw, I don't know. I don't even know how much I throw. I really have not even radar gunned myself in I think the last time I got radar gun, somebody radar gunned me, was 2 years ago, I think. It was COVID, because I remember I was doing training, I believe, prior to COVID hitting. And I forget exactly what I clocked in at, but it wasn't crazy fast. It was about average. And still to this day, I'm not a hard thrower. And a lot of guys in baseball, a lot of times people talk about velocity. How hard do you throw? Oftentimes the question is, if you say you pitch, they ask, how hard do you throw? But velocity, to be honest, to be real with you, and as much as some people, and sure, it's fun. It's fun to see guys light up the radar gun at 101. It's a lot of fun. See a guy throw up and in on 103 and then see the batter's reaction. That's fun to watch. See a guy chase a fastball all the way up in the zone at 103. That's fun. It is. I get that. But Nasty Nestor is showing us all that velocity no longer matters. Whether you throw 101 or 90s or 70s, it no longer matters, because I find this pretty interesting. On Saturday night, Chapman blew the game. He blew the save. Now, you can blame it on Chapman. You can blame it on Zay, Connor Fleffa. It could go either way. Fleffa shouldn't have went, but Chapman also just had a bad inning. Even if Fleffa didn't go, you still wonder, with Tim Anderson getting on, if Chapman still would have been able to nail down a save, and if the Yankees took the lead in the top of the 9th. Either way, that game's done with. We move on. They took 3 out of 4. We move on to Baltimore now and look to start off the series right tonight with Sevy on the mound. But with Nasty Nestor, he's showing us all that velocity doesn't matter. How hard you throw means nothing. It means absolutely nothing. Sure, you don't want to be throwing 60s in the MLB, because that's just, you're going to get rocked. But if you can locate your pitches and you can locate your fastball, you're going to make a living. That's the reality. And Nasty Nestor, his top fastball probably tops out at 92 to 94. He's not pitching 98, 99. He's not pumping gas. He's not hitting triple digits. He's not anywhere close. He's probably one of the slower pitchers in baseball, but he's one of the best pitchers in baseball. As a matter of fact, right now, you look at some of the numbers, he is the best pitcher in baseball. It's because of the way his fastball plays, the way he locates it, his pace on the mound. He gets batters on their heels early. He gets ahead in counts, and that's something that's huge. And I can't stress enough, as a pitcher, if you want to be successful as a pitcher, you got to get ahead in counts. And you look at major league pitchers that are successful, they get ahead in counts. 0-2, 1-2. Start off with a strike. Boom, strike one. You get a batter at 0-2, which is something Nasty Nestor does a lot. Now that opens up your entire arsenal. And now a batter has to prepare for almost 4 different options. Slider, curveball, cutter, fastball, maybe a changeup. He has to prepare for about, instead of it being 3-1, where you probably know it's either going to be a fastball or unless you trust your off-speed pitch a lot, which you don't see often. You see it more now because some guys do have really electric off-speed stuff. 3-1, you're most likely going to see a fastball or maybe like a changeup. You're not going to see anything wild, wacky that's going to force a ball or anything crazy out of the zone to try to get the guy chased, because on 3-1, a guy, if he's smart, is not going to chase. But Nasty Nestor gets off quick. He gets off to those quick starts. 0-2, boom. And he's quick. He keeps his foot on the rubber, gets the ball, toes the slab, boom, another pitch. Batters can't get set. Batters batters kind of get up there and they get anxious. Like they're out of their rhythm. And you even saw Tim Anderson in the first inning, who was trying to throw off Nasty Nestor's his rhythm. Didn't work. He grounded out to third. By the way, Josh Donaldson yesterday had an excellent day. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What was it? About 7 ground outs to third base yesterday by the White Sox, while Nasty Nestor was pitching. Clay Holmes forced Clay Holmes, no ground outs to third base while Clay Holmes was there, but 7 ground outs to third base. Josh Donaldson, including the one diving play, was phenomenal yesterday. And so was Nasty Nestor. And right now, if the season would to end today, Nasty Nestor has my Cy Young vote, and he should have yours. Because you look at the numbers, you watch him play. I mean, the guy's got a 1.35 ERA. I mean, back-to-back starts has been dominant. Back-to-back starts has allowed less than 3 hits. The guy, last 2 starts, he's allowed a combined 4 hits. Yesterday, the White Sox had 4 hits the combined game. That's crazy. He's allowed a combined 4 hits last 2 games. Yesterday, he allowed 3 hits. And against the Rangers, he allowed 1. So the last, 15 and a third innings pitched, Nasty Nestor's allowed 4 hits, 1 run. Put that in perspective. And he's been great. I mean, and it's so much fun to watch. And he's a good dude too. I mean, he's smiling, he's happy. You could truly tell he's living out a dream right now. He's pitching for the New York Yankees. He's the talk of New York sports right now, along with the Rangers, obviously. But he's the talk of baseball. I mean, everybody's tuning in to watch Nasty Nestor. There's shirts made after him. His jersey sales are skyrocketing. I mean, he's living life right now. And he's so much fun to watch. And another great performance yesterday from Nasty Nestor. And it was awesome and so much fun to watch. I've said that about a million times, but it is. I can't, if you haven't watched him yet, go watch it, because it's entertaining when he's out there on the mound. He's just doing his thing. He's unique. Hey, whatever he's doing, it's working. He's got to keep it up. 1.35 ERA, second best in baseball. One of the best pitchers in the league. Nasty Nestor Cortes. I got to buy one of his shirts. I'm going to buy one. It says Nasty Nestor on it. It's like a picture of him throwing like a ball, and it's got like fire on it. It's great. It's great. It's so much fun, and it's awesome. You talk about underdog stories. I mean, Nasty Nestor is a true one. Picked late in the draft. Had his first 3 years of his career were just not great. We're not very good. Now he's 27 years old, and he's pitching the best. He's pitching for the biggest organization, one of the biggest organizations in all of sports, and some of the brightest lights, and he's dominating. So it's been awesome. Great to see. And yesterday was another great example of how good he's been this season. Alrighty, so let's get. And by the way, if everything goes well with weather, he should be in line to pitch against the White Sox again this weekend. like I said, they have this weird stretch. Just got done with the 4-game set against the White Sox. Now they play 4 against the Orioles. And then it's 3 against the White Sox and 3 against the Orioles. So the Yankees have this weird stretch where they play 2 teams in like 2 weeks. It's weird. But they start up against the Orioles tonight. Sevy's on the mound. Let's go through the rest of the games. You got the Nationals, Marlins, Rays, Tigers, Blue Jays, Mariners, Astros, Red Sox, Brewers, Braves, Cubs, Pirates, Angels, Rangers rather. White Sox, Royals, Giants, Rockies, A's, Twins, and Dodgers, Diamondbacks. Mets, Cardinals tonight. Cardinals come into this one off of a dominant performance last night at Sunday Night Baseball. The score was 15-6. So it was that was a close game. Nail biter there. Albert Pujols went out, took the mound. That's when you know it's a blowout. So Cardinals coming off of that. Cardinals are 19-15. Mets are 23-13. Over/under set at 8.5. 7:10 p.m. Eastern on MLB Network. Mike Mikolas is on the mound for the Cardinals, and Trevor Williams is on the mound for the Mets. So we'll see. Mets losing their first series of the season. We'll see if they can bounce back. And tonight, Yankees, Orioles. Yankees are 25-9. Orioles are 14-21. Orioles fourth place in the AL East. Red Sox still behind them. So it's pretty just funny too to see how bad the Red Sox are. Luis Severino's on the mound tonight. He's 2-0 with a 4.0 ERA, and Bradish on the mound for the Orioles. He's 1-1 with a 4.24 ERA. Over/under set at 8. No NBA games on today. No NHL games on today. Obviously, NHL second round set. It's in the West. It's the Avalanche versus the St. Louis Blues, and the Flames and the Oilers. And in the East, it's the Lightning, Panthers, and as I've already talked about, the New York Rangers and the Carolina Hurricanes. So it should be a good series there, and let's go Rangers. As for fantasy baseball, in my main league I won, so I'm now 4-1 on the season. And in my other league I lost, so I'm now 3-2 on the season. But the main league is doing great, 4-1. I was number 1 in the power rankings, so hoping to keep that up. Getting a lot of good production from a lot of really good players. So that's been good to see. And that will do it for the podcast here today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Yankees, Orioles tonight at Camden Yards in Baltimore. Game 1 of a 4-game set. Mets, Cardinals, Game 1. It's at Citi Field. First game of a 4-game set as well. So 2 4-game sets for the Yankees and the Mets. Like I said, you don't want to get ahead of yourself, take game by game. But you just won 3 out of 4 against the White Sox. You've won 8 series straight. You're 25-9. You're facing the Orioles. Yankees, there should be no excuse. You should sweep this series. At the very least, you should take 3 out of 4. But you should sweep. If you sweep this series, you're looking at 29-9. You're looking at 20 games above 500. So just take it game by game. But Yankees, hopefully they continue to do what they continue to do. Hopefully they continue to do what they have done all season, and that is dominate their opponents. So anyway, that will do it for the podcast here today. Another good podcast in the books. As always, I will see you all back here tomorrow. Hope you enjoyed it, and thanks for watching.